So I've been trying to review a certain style or silhouette of sneaker for months at this point. I mean, almost a year. And that's just because I was never able to hit on it for retail, and resale was surprisingly expensive. But last week, I just felt like the time had come, and I just dropped some resale on this shoe because honestly, this colorway is fire. And so today, I finally have this sneaker in hand, and I can give you all a full review. What's up, everybody? I'm Seth Fowler, and today I'm reviewing the Nike Sacai Vaporwaffle in the Sesame colorway. I don't know how I haven't been able to grab a pair yet, but honestly, it kind of seems like it was worth the wait. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in today. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell down below, and also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler. But today we're reviewing a pair of sneakers which is by far one of the wildest sneakers I think I've ever had. I mean, I guess pretty much every Sacai Nike collaboration is pretty wild, but this one in particular, I mean, it's got a friggin' mouth on the back. That's crazy. So the latest iteration of the Nike Sacai Vaporwaffle released today, April 29th, 2021, for a retail price of $180 and in two different colorways, the Sesame colorway and the Dark Iris colorway. Out of the two, it was kind of a no-brainer which colorway I wanted to go for. The Dark Iris colorway is just too, like, Halloween-y for me, and this one is a much more wearable and a much, I guess, cleaner colorway overall. But I've got to say, in the short amount of time that I've had this sneaker, honestly only a couple hours, it's really not been what I expected. I mean, first off, I feel like an entire foot taller when I put on this shoe, which I guess isn't a bad thing, but I don't know, it's a weird feeling. But before we dive any deeper into the sneaker itself, let's take a quick look at the box. So the Nike Sacai Vaporwaffle comes in a bright orange Nike box, which also features some sort of like glossy orange text on the top, which you can't really see unless you're looking at it from the right angle. On the sides of the box, you've got sort of a split old school Nike logo. And then on the front of the box, or I guess the drawer portion of the box, because this is a drawer or pull out box, you've actually got the size tag and then a pull hole. So I was able to grab my true size, a size 9, which of course I could because I paid resale for this shoe. And the official colorway of this sneaker is Sesame Blue Void White. I don't know what it is about these Nike Sacai boxes, but they just feel more premium than standard Nike boxes. Like, I don't know if it's the cardboard being thicker or maybe the finish being smoother. I don't know what it is, but these boxes look and feel great. They feel like, well, a $500 sneaker because that's about what I paid for them. Crap, no, I think it was like $600. Man, the things I do for this channel. But jumping into the shoe itself, around the toe or the mudguard, you've got this really nice tan colored, or I guess sesame colored suede. Now don't get me wrong, $180 is a lot to pay for a pair of sneakers, but usually when you buy a mass-produced shoe like a Jordan or another pair of Nikes, the suede doesn't feel this good. But on this collaboration, for whatever reason, although the suede probably isn't any better quality than the other suedes that they use, it feels better quality. Like, it feels significantly more buttery, and it does that thing where when you swipe it one way, it gets lighter, and you swipe it back the other way, it gets darker. It's a really nice material. Moving up from the mudguard, you might notice that this newer Sacai Nike Vaporwaffle is a little bit different than some of the older Nike Sacai Vaporwaffles. And the reason for that, besides just the colorway, is that they're actually using a completely different material on a majority of the upper. So the original Nike Vaporwaffles used a very wide mesh on the upper of the shoe, which I don't know how durable it was, but it did allow for a lot of breathability. These newer versions use what seems to be a padded nylon upper, which I'm actually not against, and while it might not be as breathable as the other shoe or the other materials, I feel like it's going to be more durable and last you longer overall. On the Sesame colorway of the Nike Vaporwaffle, the nylon comes in a light tan color, which obviously isn't the same color as the suede, but it does provide a nice contrast on the upper. As you continue up in the shoe, you've got more of this suede around the eye stay, which I absolutely love. Give me an entire Nike Sacai Vaporwaffle in suede, I'll be all about it. And I've got to say that one of the first things that I noticed when I pulled this shoe out of the box was how many friggin' lace eyelets it has. It's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on one side. That's crazy. This pair of Ultra Boost 21s has 4 on either side, 8 total. This one is 18 total. Is that math right? Yes, it is. That's crazy. And not only that, you've actually also got 2 sets of laces weaving through each one of these eyelets, which means that even if these laces are really long, they're gonna run out pretty quickly. And I found that when I tied this sneaker, the bow was about this big. If you're not familiar with the Sacai Nike collaborations, basically what the idea behind the concept is that Chitose Abe from Sacai took 2 different Nike sneakers and mashed them together into one. And that's why you've got double Nike swooshes, double laces, double tongues, and a whole bunch of double details all the way throughout the shoe. So on the Sacai Nike Vaporwaffle, it's a mix between between the original Pegasus from 1983 and the Nike Vaporwaffle from now. And so by mashing two completely different sneakers together from completely different decades, you get a look that's both rooted in history but also very future focused. And I can't get over how insane this sneaker looks. I mean, it's legitimately crazy looking. But getting back from that tangent, that's why you've got two different sets of laces. And what's interesting about this particular shoe is how each lace is actually completely different from the other one. So the white lace is a standard flat lace, and the blue lace is more of like a ribbon lace, which, to be honest, is kind of a pain in the ass to tie. And if you're not a fan of the laces, you can switch out one or both with another set of laces that came in the box, which is actually a sesame colored pair of rope laces. I don't think I'm going to do that though, because I really like the contrast that the white and blue brings to the upper of the shoe. The sesame colored laces would be a little bit too similar for me. Then underneath the laces, you've got two completely different tongues that overlap each other. One comes in a light tan nylon color and the other one comes in a slightly darker shade of tan. If you've seen any other Nike Sacai collaboration, they all come with this double tongue, which I actually kind of like the look of. And of course, as you can see, both tongue comes with its own separate tag. The top one says Nike Sacai and the bottom one says Nike Sportswear. Moving inside the sneaker, you've got a light tan mesh sock liner, which feels pretty good against your foot and is also pretty well padded, especially around the heel. And then rounding off the inside of the shoe, you've got a dark blue insole with the Nike and Sacai logo sublimated onto the heel in white. But now getting into sizing, which is one of my biggest questions before actually being able to try on the shoe, I've got to say that this shoe does seem to fit true to size, which is a huge relief because I spent $600 on this shoe and I would be just insanely bummed if it didn't fit. I do have to say that Nike is usually really good about their sizing. I mean, there's a couple oddballs that don't always fit true to size, but I'd say like 8 out of 10 Nike sneakers do fit true to size. Continuing back in the shoe, you've got more of that tan colored nylon, and then on top of the nylon, you've got the double Nike swoosh on the lateral side. The top Nike swoosh comes in a dark blue leather, which actually looks really nice and contrasts the upper incredibly well. And then the bottom Nike swoosh comes in white and is actually painted on, which I didn't realize, but I think it looks really nice. Now it seems like they used a stencil and spray painted it on over the suede and the nylon. You can actually see where there's a little bit of overspray. It's nothing crazy. I mean, if you're going to be spray painting something on like that, it's not always going to be perfect. I don't love the way that it makes the suede feel underneath the Nike swoosh, but it works with the effect. And personally, the double Nike swoosh thing is like my favorite part of any Nike Sacai collaboration. I just love the way that looks. But then moving over to the medial side or the inside of the sneaker, you'll notice that there's only one Nike swoosh and it's the blue leather Nike swoosh. It kind of looks sad and small on this side. Even though the Nike swoosh on the lateral side that comes in blue leather is the same exact size as the one on the medial side, it just feels smaller. Just above the Nike swooshes on either side of the shoe, you've got this dark brown fuse overlay, which I believe is actually to help keep the laces from pulling out the eyelet. It also gives the midfoot of the sneaker a little bit more visual dimension, which I like. Continuing back in the shoe to the heel of the sneaker, you've got this darker tan heel counter that comes in leather with this nice little cutout in the middle. And then at the top of the heel, you've got this dark blue leather with the Nike Sacai logo printed in white. And over top of that, you've got a tan colored pull tab. The upper of the shoe just feels so retro. I mean, it feels like the 1983 Pegasus, and that's what it's based on, so it makes sense. It's when you get down to the midsole of the shoe where everything gets insane. So as you can see, the midsole of the shoe is made up of like 3 different parts. You've got a white layer on the top, which I believe is Zoom X and is taken from the Vaporfly. And then just below that, you've got a blue layer and a cream layer, which I think is just a standard foam. I don't know what kind of foam it is, but it's probably taken from the Pegasus. On the forefoot of the shoe, you'll notice that the foam from the Vaporfly and the foam from the Pegasus don't line up perfectly. The Vaporfly's foam kind of extends out over top of the Pegasus's foam on the lateral side. And then on the medial side, it's the exact opposite, where the Pegasus foam kind of comes out in this almost shelf situation. And of course, that's kind of a weird look. It kind of gives the shoe an unfinished feel, especially when it's paired with this painted Nike swoosh. But where things get really weird are obviously the heel. So I think it's hard to deny the fact that the heel of the shoe looks like a mouth with a tongue sticking out. Like it literally does. It looks like a Muppet. And while I guess I don't mind it, it's definitely a weird aesthetic and it's definitely polarizing. Like you either love it or you hate it. Now before I got this shoe in hand, I wasn't sure how they were going to keep this from kind of ripping apart. And to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure, but the one thing I've noticed is that there is actually this piece of plastic, you can kind of see it there in white, that seems to be separating the two midsoles, keeping the upper midsole or the Zoom X in its place and keeping its shape, and then keeping the bottom midsole kind of flat so that they don't all kind of split apart, because that's definitely something that could happen. One thing I actually do really like about this midsole a lot, and something that I didn't expect to be that great, is that the Zoom X on the top half of the midsole actually provides a huge amount of cushion underneath your foot. I mean, if you've ever worn a Zoom X pair of sneakers before, you know how soft it is. It's actually softer than Boost, and so when paired with this less soft foam, it actually balances out really nicely. Man, if you get flat tired in this shoe, you're done. I really feel like you're done. At least the back part of this shoe is gonna get ripped off. That's crazy. One thing I did notice when I was wearing this shoe is that there is actually a little bit of springiness in the heel when you lean back on the shoe, because I'm assuming this plastic thing kind of acts like a spring. You've got the foam on top. It's an interesting feel. I actually kind of like it. I just don't understand how this shoe is supposed to stay together after being worn for like 6 months, especially not the mesh version, because that version seems like if you get it caught on anything, it's gonna rip the upper right off, and if you catch a stair wrong, or maybe someone stands on the back of your foot like a flat tire, you're screwed. But who knows? I'm sure Nike thought about it in some way. I mean, they obviously did a little bit with this piece of plastic. It's just a weird look. It's definitely more of a designer shoe than an everyday kind of wear. But then finally moving to the bottom of the shoe, you've got this very thick black rubber outsole. Overall, the Sacai Nike Vaporwaffle is definitely a successful sneaker when it comes to getting people to talk about a design. I mean, this shoe is by far one of the wildest sneakers I've ever seen, and I was genuinely blown away by how comfortable this shoe was. I think Sacai and Nike definitely did their thing on this shoe. I think it's incredibly unique. It's absolutely polarizing, and if you love it, you really love it. If you hate it, you really hate it. I dig this shoe. I don't think this is my favorite colorway of the shoe. I think the black and white colorway is my favorite, but it's a surprisingly decent shoe. It's surprisingly comfortable, and it's one of those shoes that I'm not gonna break out every day, but I'll break it out maybe on the weekends when I'm feeling crazy. But with that, we pretty much wrap up the review for today. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on the Nike Sacai Vaporwaffle in the Sesame colorway, and whether you got lucky today in the sneakers app, so make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.